Hello and welcome to Playing Hide and Seek. Today we are here. I am here. I'm Jacqueline Kane with Alana and Sunshine, and we are coming together in this hide and seek podcast conversation. It's not just a childhood game. We're here to talk about the metaphor for how we hide parts of ourselves from the world, our loved ones, and even ourselves. So today I'm excited to talk about generational echoes, breaking inherited patterns of silence, and how family dynamics shape our relationship with speaking up. I don't know about you, but this definitely resonates with me. And I love talking about ancestral energy, all the things that we inherit that we don't even know we inherited. And I call it as ancestral energy. And the way I describe that is the unresolved emotional issues of those that came before us. So whether you use the word ancestor or generational, it's all the same thing, but there was so much that's passed down to us that we're not even aware of. For example, we can tell that families look alike, right? By their smile, or they have the same hair color, or the same eye color and the same gait. We are a golfing family, so if you ever watch golf, they have this one tournament where the golfers golf with their sons or their daughters, and you can clearly see that they each have the same swing. It's amazing to see in front of you. But today we'd like to talk about the things that you don't quite see, the things that are under the surface. The silent things that get inherited, like maybe your fear of speaking up in front of people, your fear of speaking in front of a crowd, the ways that maybe you feel it's not safe to be you. So I'd love to hear from Alana and Sunshine. What are your thoughts about all of this? Sunshine, would you like to go first?
Hello, and thank you for having me here today. And I love this topic. Um, yeah, so I love how you described it as far as it can be generational or you can refer it to ancestral. It's whatever resonates and aligns with you, right? Wherever you can experience what we're speaking of. And to know that we are here as divine souls having a human experience and our ancestors or the people or generations like our mom and dad, and then like our grandparents and the grandparents, their parents, and it just goes down and down. And in the future, right, our kids having kids, our grandkids and their kids, just to think that we, as we experience and gain knowledge, we can change, right? Our generational and our ancestrals. That's so empowering. That makes me feel so good about myself, right? And to pass on the information about, hey, you know, we can make the change. We can make the change for the future. And our beloved ones, right, that have already been here and tried to do it, but maybe didn't have the knowledge or didn't know what we know or the wisdom, and when we do it and when we experience it, what are they doing up there, right? They're celebrating it. We broke it. We don't need to play it over and over again. So to me, it just brings all kinds of that curiosity, that surprise, that it just fills me up of excitement and empowerment. And I have a desire to do everything that I can do that way, right? And it does clear your voice. It does have you experienced something that you have never, ever experienced? And even in our DNA, when we are conceived, right? Like, when our parents are conceiving us, right? That it's their emotions, it's their feelings at that moment, right? And we carry that in one cell over here. So it's so interconnected. Once we connect the dots to our human self and understand it, it is life changing, not only for us, but generations to come. And like I have goosebumps speaking about it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your wisdom, Sunshine. And how about you, Alana?
The thing that's jumping out, and Sunshine just touched on DNA. So genetics is like a huge piece that is that hidden part of our ancestral. And we tend to say, oh, well, this is in my DNA or this is in my genetics, and I have these risks or I have these SNPs from our DNA that mean I'm going to have this issue. And it's not necessarily true, right? So the part where, yes, physically, I may have chosen to have like these risk factors from both my parents. And, I've done my genetic testing and looked at it. And what's fascinating is you don't know which is which, right? Like you just get the test results and you just kind of know like, okay, I'm at risk for, I have some issues detoxing, methylation. Maybe I have some heart disease potential. Maybe there's some kidney pieces. But already just reading, it was like, oh, well, my dad had some heart stuff, so must be the paternal side. And then the kidney issues, like that was more on my grandfather's mother's side. So now I can go back a couple generations and go, oh, well, she was on dialysis and she had these pieces. And then for where I am currently, and what we're talking about is I don't have to take that on and say, oh, poor me, I'm the victim. I have these family issues health wise that I'm going to get stuck in, that we still get to choose. How can I support my body? How can I support myself? And, if that means that I get to go more into the emotional levels and go, oh, what is this tied to? My heart and my blood flow, my circulation. If I am holding everything in my heart and I am like walling off my heart and guarding my heart, I totally see that with my dad. And I'm like, well, of course he ended up having heart issues because he wasn't doing anything more beyond that physical piece to go
Yeah.
into the emotional or go into the mental or go into the spiritual of like, why am I shutting myself down? Or why did my great grandmother or my great grandmother not necessarily have the ability to filter through her kidneys, and what was she holding on to and not wanting to release and not wanting to let go? And so the thing that I'm just really feeling with like these echoes in our ancestral, we tend to get stuck in thinking we have no choice. And yet we are in such a beautiful time on the planet right now. This is why we all showed up. We get
Yeah.
to actually clear all of it for ourselves, for our children, for our ancestors, all the way back, which is what I love that you do, Jacqueline. And so I don't know, it's just these pieces that if I can access and see for myself physically where I may need some support and I can give myself the support, but I can go down these deeper rabbit holes to really look at, okay, I've got family that has a propensity to close down certain parts of ourselves. How can we shift that? How can I now stop hiding and playing hide and seek with myself of what is possible? And just because my ancestors did have these issues doesn't mean it's mine to carry forward anymore. I can
Yeah.
totally let it go.
Yeah. And oh my God, it's so much fun when we let it go, right? Um,
Yes.
oh my God, there's just so much here. But first we have to have awareness, right? And for those of you who are new to like ancestral energy or what is that or epigenetics, um, we only choose to get rid of what we want to get rid of. And we get to hold on to all the beautiful things that we inherited because it's not all negative. There are beautiful things every human being inherited from their ancestors, right? There's so much, um, culture and everything that's been passed down. Um, but first we have to have awareness. And and again, it's having compassion, right, for those that came before us. They had it really tough. So my mother grew up in Sardinia, Italy during World War II, and I lived with fear in my body. I could feel it in my arms. I would freak out every time I had to like do a presentation or something. Um, and that was her energy. That's what she grew up in, but they weren't allowed to talk about it because they were living it. So why talk about the chaos and the fear? They were just surviving. And I think that's a big thing right now is we were raised by people who were just surviving. We have an opportunity, just like you said, Alana, like this is an amazing time to be living and having a body and experiencing life. Um, I think I can agree that all three of us, and we know many more people who are trying to get their children create a life of thriving, right? No longer holding them back, of living a life of what's possible, to expect miracles, right? So I get really excited about this, and I don't even know where I'm going. But Sunshine, what's coming up for you? And yeah.
It is such a exciting thing to discuss, and it's such an experience. All it takes is a little bit of coming into your awareness, right, and bringing it in, and hopefully feeling it, and then you'll be able to gauge yourself on, hey, let's check this out more. There's two things coming up from what you guys have been sharing, and one that I'm thinking of is, for example, we've been taught everything. If you're seeking anything, you can receive it outside of yourself, right? And it has to start within yourself. And receiving outside of yourself, past generations and ancestrals were doing the best that they can. And I'm so proud to be where I am that way, right? And past lives come into it too on a spiritual aspect. But thinking of everything, I know that we can look at our children or maybe our grandchildren, and maybe sometimes it would be judgment, or maybe sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, why are they going through this, right? Like we can ask why. And it hurts us if we have a close one. We, of course, we'd like to help them, right? But it's where they are in their journey. So if we have somebody close to us going through a cycle and they're doing it over and over again, right? And if it is a family member, where I like to start is looking at myself, looking at the relationship that I may have with my partner, right? And being able to reflect back and see how maybe it's a child and maybe they're going through financial thing, right? Financial struggle or financial chaos. Well, that's not just that child themselves. It's something to do with me, right? It's something to do with before me, possibly. But if I can heal something within myself and bring it into my awareness and look at how I raised my child, right? Yeah. And the knowledge I may not had, right? Then if I can change something up with myself in my inner awareness, or something in my relationship that's close to me, if we clear that, then everything clears up for our children, and everything clears up for our grandchildren, right? So to me, it's surreal. It's such a, we're here as human, like divine souls having a human experience, but we have like soul contracts. We have like soul history patterns. And the more we can clear it and connect it and understand it, the more that we can clear up for the future. And it becomes easier for us. And another thing that we were talking about is like DNA. We're all three of us are very strong believers that we can heal ourselves, right? So when we hear how you were talking, Alana, about heart conditions or high cholesterol, personally, I've always been a healthy eater. All of a sudden I have this diagnosis in a heart specialist with high cholesterol. And it's like, well, where's that coming from? I eat okay, like I eat good. I don't eat grace, right? So obviously it's a DNA. I don't know the biological background of one of my parents, but so I could go and get stuck in all of that stuff, right? Or blame or feel that I don't have any control and that I'm getting punished and personalize everything. Or I can take action. What action am I going to take? I'm not one for medication. There is medical, yes, at times it is needed if there's emergency, but I choose to heal myself. And even if it's a longer process, right, I will do the energetic work. I will do the blocks. Do the ancestral thing. I will change my habits. I will change my beliefs until I'm more healthy, right? So I did. I changed my diet. I went vegan. It took me a year and a half with the heart specialist that we fired each other, saying it's just a death sentence. What are you doing? It will never be enough, right? And hearing all of that, but not feeling in myself, no, I can do this, right? It took a year and a half before results showed, but they did show, right?
Yeah.
So that it, and also doing work with the DNA and the awareness that I might have not had, but it is in the cell somewhere. So let's do the work and clearing up, sometimes blindly, not even knowing the history there. And it's a very good feeling, right? Instead of feeling like I'm sick, I have no choice, like, and the dread, right? A whole different vibration of like, oh, I am empowered. I can heal myself, right? I will ask for whatever support. It is work. It's my responsibility to do the work. I can't depend on my divine team to do it. I can't depend on Alana or Jacqueline to, have sessions with, and then, not continue to grow and expand. Just put it in somebody else's hands. It's not up to them. It's up to me, right? So it's a beautiful, amazing, there's no words for it really, but it's just self-awareness and being open to doing this beautiful divine work.
Thank you. How about you, Alana?
The first piece to tap on or kind of bring up is we have lots of excitement for this. And we're like, this is so exciting. And I can already hear the people watching that are like, screw you. This is not exciting. And this sucks. And right, it's just that there's so much heaviness and anxiety and fear, and also those thoughts that just come up like, you guys are crazy. I can't change this.
Yeah.
This is my reality. I'm stuck in this. And as much as I would love to be able to heal myself, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Just to me, that's already your awareness. If you're coming from that place, your lenses are already really laden in the fear side of really all of our systems, medicine at best, right? The labels. And even to just kind of look at some of my genetics and look at it, right? It's very scary. It's very fearful. It's like, I read a lot of it, and it would be like, you can have Parkinson's and MS, and you can have this and that, and all the labels, right? And I, having done this work and realizing just because I read something is not my truth, I can go in and go, no, not for me. And then I read on and I realize, oh, that's why I've never drank coffee in my life. And most of you might go, what? You're crazy. Yeah, maybe, but I can't stand the smell. I always knew it was kind of like alcohol in the sense of like, you have to acquire the taste. And it's like with coffee, you do like black, or do you add a lot of sugar, a lot of dairy? And in the end, I'm like, people aren't even drinking coffee. They're just drinking like all the creamer and all the sugar, So I just didn't go there. But already my intuition was, it's not for me. And I didn't get lost in the noise of, what do you mean? You should try it anyway. And all the peer pressure and all the stuff that genetically, I actually don't detox caffeine very well. If I had been a coffee drinker, drinking soda, even teas, like I've always kind of wanted more the decaf, or even my mom sold like a greens kind of product through like the Zeal. They had a caffeine version, and there were moments in my life, if I had too much caffeine, I actually couldn't focus and I couldn't function. I once had a lady who got me a smoothie, like a juice, like something, not like something that should be healthy. And I drank it, and I had the worst day of my life. I had like tunnel vision. I was like, oh my God, you drugged me. Like, what did you do? She put a shot of Red Bull. She put a shot of Red Bull in it. And I was like, I've never had Red Bull. And my husband actually drinks it every day. He needs it. It helps him. And I can't stand the smell. And I'm like, oh my God, I've had that one experience. It wrecked me. So I share this just because your experiences are valid. Your experiences are real for you. And as much as someone will tell you you're crazy, or, we're saying things are great, or, have this awareness, your awareness is whatever is going to come through. And if you have this like intuitive knowing that something's not right for you, or you hear this label from medicine or society or the world at large that tells you this is you, you don't have to listen to it. You can totally run in the other direction. And that's the same thing with our ancestral energy. We have our family that we give a lot of our power to, and we don't always need. So for the point of you're going to have triggers, you chose these people for a reason, you chose these ancestral lines. That sounds crazy in itself too. But there's a reason that you came to have the experiences you're having, and you can always move through it. You can choose a different path, right? Sometimes we have families that maybe they were stuck in poverty. Maybe they were stuck in a certain belief system or a way of doing things in life. And you realize as you get older and you raise your own children, I didn't like that. I'm going to go the other direction, right? That's what many of our generations, that's what we're constantly doing and undoing, is we can either do what was done before or we can change it. And each time we're kind of changing it a little, or sometimes our lineage goes right back to those same patterns that kind of pull us. Like, even though grandma went this way and mom went this way, and now I'm going back the way grandma went, this is where we can go deeper into it. And I know, Jacqueline, this is your work. This is what you do. We co-host retreats together and you do the ancestral. So yeah, what do you want to share for everyone to know a little bit
Well,
more of what this looks like and how it goes?
well, you brought up a very good point, and I know I got very excited. But you have to understand, before I understood ancestral energy, you could have probably called me depressed at times. I did have pain in my body. My relationships were not good. I was getting triggered all the time. I was drinking way too much alcohol. I was attracting the wrong situations, right? God bless my children and everything that like you said, we all pick our parents, we pick the experiences, so we all picked each other. But it was tough back then. And I had to do a lot of healing. I've spent years and I'm still uncovering, pulling away the layers of who I am and why do I get triggered? Why do I get upset by things? We did not get here overnight. This takes years. So if you've fallen upon this podcast, this conversation, and you're like, you ladies are crazy, it's not fun, the world's not a good place, I totally understand. And what we want to offer you is that there's another way, because we've all been where you are. And it is really tough living in that without having the knowledge. But when you have the awareness, you take in and slowly take baby steps toward doing the healing process, right? This is not an overnight success. I tell my clients, you don't go to the gym once to get six-pack abs. I'm still trying to figure out how you get six-pack abs. I haven't mastered that one yet, but I have mastered how to heal the body and how to be happy. It's about being happy, right? I work with a lot of clients who are in physical pain. If physical pain was, and the way out was only about dealing with the physical body, then everybody who had surgery would be feeling great, right? Everybody who does physical therapy, all the injections, all the medications, right? Like, physical pain and healing is multi-dollar, billions of dollars are spent on it, right? It's not physical. You have to go into the energies and the emotions underneath that are stored in our bodies. And this is what we want to share with you, that when you slowly take and you start looking at, wow, why did I get triggered? Why am I entering into a hospital and I'm leaving there and I have more physical pain than when I walked in there? It's understanding who you are, your own sensitivity. And Alana, you bring up a good point. I think the millennials and in your generation. I don't know how many Dunkin' Donuts are going to be around in like 20 years because you guys don't drink coffee, right? My son doesn't even drink alcohol. I'm like, how did you do that? I think it's fabulous. I totally think it's fabulous. So, this is a journey to understand who you are and just peel away the layers of the habits and patterns that you inherited that are not yours, right? And it's beautiful. We want every human being to shine and share your gifts and share your viewpoints. That's what we're here to explore with you and help you to just, what can you do today to really be who you are and share that with the world? What's coming up for you, Sunshine?
Oh, I just love this conversation. And yes, like Alana, you had talked about family, and Jacqueline, you're talking about like it's not something that happens overnight, right? So before we come down to have our human experiences, divine souls, to love and to heal and to evolve our soul, you know, we have like things that we are aware that we need to do, but it's through the human experience. We might freeze up, we might put our brakes on, we might become stuck there. And our soul can play things over and over again when we're here in this lifetime, over and over again. And it's played in the generations and ancestrals over and over again, right? And just to step out of our comfort zone and maybe explore and play and experience something that seems very foreign. How many of us have been to or taken people to medical appointments and tried this and tried that, and there's like no answers, right? And that's because we're only focusing on that one physical body. And like you said, Alana, there's the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, and the ether. And our bodies and systems are constantly changing. So it's not an overnight thing that will happen. We've been trying to do this all our lives, right? And we're healing. And to me, healing means moving forward in all things. We're trying to evolve our soul so we don't have another lifetime where we got to do the exact same thing or play things over and over again, right? So it's a little bit of a shift to try a new path, which is stepping out of your comfort zone, which means like, oh, it can kind of be scary and a little bit nervous and we kind of freeze up. But that's because it's like unknown, and we can create and heal so much in that unknown. And then we can move into experiencing things and learning things and growing from there. So once you're on the journey, no matter what you label, if it's a awareness journey, if it's self-love journey, if it's going within, if it's a spiritual journey, whatever we are most comfortable, which aligns and resonates with us calling it, there's no going back. It's always going forward, and it's accessing different layers and dimensions of oneself and having that self-awareness. So we will heal something and feel really good about it, but sometimes little dust particles come up, or chunks of like planets or stones or rocks kind of thing, right? That means we're moving forward, we're transitioning through something, and we can continue to move forward. And it's very exciting. And it is, you know, it is learning and looking through a different lens, a different perspective, different glasses, Alana, and just, you know, having a life. I love having a life that isn't like a, yes, there'll be things in life that will feel like a survival mode, which we have to be in because something's really majorly happening, and it's a transition, something we got to move through, right? And it's not always going to be roses and peaches and sparkles and fairies and rainbows. It's
Unicorns.
not always going to be that way. Yes, and unicorns. It's not always going to be that way, but a high percentage of it can be that way, right? It's not like we come through this veil and then we stop experiencing. That would be pretty boring, right? So it is life changing at the same time. And we are all deserving of like love and peace and joy and happiness and bliss, right? And to be fulfilled and to be one of the oneness, right? And Alana, something we you spoke of, you know, we think of family, and family is so important to many of us. And we all think of family differently. And we can think of family and being our conditioned self or our authentic self. When I think of family, yes, it is very, very important. But it's not only my blood family. It's not only like my kids or people that are close to me or my grandparents. I honestly think when I think of family, and we can get caught up in that, a lot of us may make the decision through life that we can't see certain people in our family, and that's self-awareness and for the best. But that doesn't mean we're without family. Family to me is that oneness. It's we're all equal. We all come from the same place, no matter what. We're all from the same place. We're all kind of doing the same things, but on like a different journey than that. And so when I think of family, family to me is oneness, right? It is like the universal, at that I'm never alone. Like everybody has their divine team, divine collective, however they desire to refer to it. You guys are like family to me, right? Everybody that I can be my true self with is my family. It is part of my soul, right? I believe that we're connected, that the divine and divine timing has connected whoever you're with. We're all interconnected for a reason to experience certain things, and people will come and go out of your life. And that means family at times, right? We're not going to be, we can't be born, like you say, Alana, and we just stay an infant the whole time we're born. We change, we develop, we have other experiences. No matter what, it's always changing, and we can fight it and not allow it, but it's impossible. We are constantly changing, and we need to catch up to that, right? And the new souls that are coming in right now, just mind blowing, right? Like, just wow, what are they going to do when they're here? And we get to experience that. So thank you, Jacqueline.
You.
Thank you, Alana.
How about you, Alana?
I want to switch gears. As much as I was really into the physical of DNA, there's also this spiritual component. So I dive in more and more. My past lives just come to me. So whether you believe in past lives or not, I really see part of the journey that I needed to choose for this lifetime. And I've also been told that my mom and I are in our third life together in the same roles, right? So we're not just talking just the ancestral of this lineage that we came in, but there's something we have not healed. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, we are not doing this again. We are like, I can't keep playing the role of the child and she's the mom. And yet what I keep coming back to and seeing these other dynamics and these other parts of myself, it's come into this life that I've got to change the pattern. I've got to change something that my soul just keeps trying to do that's not quite working. And more, it feels like I made it hard on my mom, and I was triggering ways for her to evolve, but she's stuck in her triggered responses. And as much as I'm trying to help her, I have to remember she's trying to help me, right? So we're rubbing each other a certain way just because we're stuck in certain pieces, and yet I'm realizing I need to be the child, and I sometimes keep trying to be the mom, or that's what she's needed me to be. So it's like, whoo, playing hide and seek. I haven't been speaking up and putting in my boundaries or owning these pieces. And so the thing I want everyone of us to remember is we're our own creation in form, right? This soul that's creating and co-creating with each other. And I love what you said, Sunshine, about family. And I've always felt that. Everyone's my family. My connection calls when I'm meeting people, my little link in the URL is "You are my family," because I've always seen that we're all connected. We are in that oneness. We're all here playing these roles to help each other to grow, to really release things that are not who we are. they don't serve us. They're actually limiting us. They're keeping us stuck. And more, if I'm releasing things that no longer serve me, you may see that and then move in that direction too to help yourself release the things. Maybe it gives you the courage or the confidence to even say something or acknowledge it or have the awareness to shift the pattern, to shift yourself, which actually really does help all of the ancestors in your line right here and now.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I think that brings us to what we're all here to do, right? Instead of getting triggered, and there's a lot of, let's face it, there's a lot of chaos in the world right now. People are posting, there's so much negativity and toxicity. Like if we could just take a step back and say, let me get curious about why you believe something, instead of saying, my way's the right way, your way's the wrong way, right? And get to know more people, because we are all one. And when we can really just appreciate each other and love each other for being unique and who we are, we can learn and grow and achieve so much more. Um, so thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I just love you ladies. And for those of you watching, please leave a comment, whether you agree with what we say or you don't. We still love you, and we would love to just hear your input. And if there's any kind of topics that, if you have questions, please leave your questions. We would love to explore new conversations and new topics. Also going forward, we do have a fabulous retreat coming up. It's Your Life Reset Retreat. We will leave the link in the description. Feel free to join us if you're looking to just up-level any area of your life. This is for you. So again, thank you, Alana and Sunshine, for being with me today, and have a great day. We love you.
Mwah. Thank you, everyone.